ChatGPT can now read, search, and even send messages from Apple's Messages app directly from your Mac. But there's an important catch. You have to give it permission first. The new integration allows ChatGPT to search your conversations, summarize chats, and in some cases, write and send messages for you. OpenAI has introduced a new integration for ChatGPT on Mac that allows the AI assistant to interact with Apple's Messages app. Now, once enabled, ChatGPT can search through conversations, summarize chats, and in some cases, write and send text messages on your behalf. So, for example, instead of manually going through a long conversation to find something someone sent you, you could just ask ChatGPT to look for it. Or you could ask it to summarize a conversation. And with the necessary permissions, it can also perform actions inside the Messages app. But there are several steps before ChatGPT gets this kind of access. So how does it work? The feature is not turned on by default. If you want to use it, you have to enable it inside ChatGPT and then give the application additional permissions through your Mac system settings. These include full disk access, access to contact information, and permissions that allow ChatGPT to interact with the Messages app. Now that sounds like a lot of access, and that's exactly why this feature is getting attention. Because your Messages app isn't just a place where you send casual texts. It could contain personal conversations, phone numbers, important addresses, financial information, workplace discussions, and other sensitive details. So giving an AI access to messages is very different from asking it to summarize a document or write an email. So what does OpenAI say about privacy in this case? Well, OpenAI says the integration works locally on your Mac. If you use existing Mac OS technologies, including Apple Script and Accessibility, to communicate with the Messages app. OpenAI also says that ChatGPT does not automatically create an index containing all of your conversations. That's an important distinction. The feature requires you to deliberately enable multiple permissions rather than giving ChatGPT unrestricted access automatically. But the privacy question doesn't disappear, because once you've given an AI assistant access to an app containing highly personal information, the issue becomes what the assistant can access and what you are comfortable allowing it to do. And this is part of a much bigger change happening with artificial intelligence. For years, chatbots mostly work like this. You ask a question, they give you an answer. Now companies are trying to turn AI assistants into something much more powerful. And assistants that can actually look through your apps or find information and perform tasks for you. And Messages is one of the clearest examples of that shift. And then there's another interesting angle. This comes at a time when Apple itself is working on a more capable AI-powered Siri. Apple has been developing features that would allow Siri to understand and retrieve information from personal content stored on your devices, including messages. So there could eventually be a competition between Apple's own AI assistant and third-party AI assistants like ChatGPT over who gets access to your personal digital life. And that's where this feature becomes more significant. Because the real competition may not just be about who has the smarter chatbot. It could be about who has access to more of your data and who can actually do things on your behalf. For users, that creates a trade-off. On one side, there's convenience. You could simply ask ChatGPT to find information buried in an old conversation instead of searching through hundreds of messages. You could get a quick summary of a long chat. You could potentially draft or send a message without manually switching between apps. But on the other side is privacy. Do you really want an AI assistant to have access to your conversations? And how much access are you willing to give it if that means the AI can do more for you? But for now, the important thing is that this feature isn't automatic. You have to actively enable the feature and grant the required permissions. So if you don't want ChatGPT accessing your Messages app, you don't have to turn it on. But this feature points towards where AI assistants are heading. They are no longer just tools that talk to you. They are increasingly becoming tools that can see what you're doing, understand your digital information, and act on your behalf. And that makes one question increasingly important. How much access to your digital life are you willing to give an AI in exchange for convenience?